My name's Sarah. I'm 46, and I'm raising two teenage daughters, 15 and 17. Last year, their father, my ex-husband, died in a tragic accident. You'd think his death would be the worst of it. But no. That's when the real nightmare began. See, before he died, I was in the middle of divorcing him because he'd been cheating on me. Not just cheating. He had a full-blown secret family, 2 little boys with his mistress, and to make things even darker, his mistress died too, which left those poor boys orphaned. You can imagine how much my daughters, who were the ones that discovered his affair, resented him. They were devastated. They're still in therapy trying to untangle that betrayal, but instead of respecting their grief, his parents, my ex-in-laws, decided to drag us all into their twisted fantasy. They wanted custody of my girls. They wanted to move into our house. They wanted to force my daughters to become big sisters to the children born out of my husband's betrayal. And when I said no, they turned their entire church community against us. Fast forward to my younger daughter's birthday. We went to the weekend market. It's this sweet local thing with fresh produce, meats, flowers, and candies. I gave her a budget and let her roam free. After an hour, my phone buzzed. It was her, but instead of excitement, I heard sobbing. "Mom, there are people yelling at me. They're saying horrible things. Please, come now." My heart dropped. I grabbed my older daughter and we ran, and there she was, cornered. 6 older church ladies surrounding her like vultures, wagging fingers in her face. They called her unchristian for not visiting her grandparents. They shamed her for refusing to love her father's affair children. My daughter's hands were shaking, clutching her little bag of sweets like it was her only shield. That was my breaking point. I stormed over, pulled her behind me, and faced them down. "You will not speak to my child like that," I said. They sneered. They told me I was worse than her, for disobeying my ex-in-laws, that a good Christian wife should do as they say. Barf. The shouting escalated until market security asked us all to leave. As we walked to our car, those women followed, cackling, whispering, circling like predators. I managed to get my daughters safely inside and drove off, but my blood was boiling. That night, after my girls went to bed, I decided, this ends now. I messaged a friend from that church, one of the few decent people there, and asked what the hell was going on. He apologized and told me the truth. My ex-mother-in-law had posted this sob story on the church's Facebook group. According to her, my daughters and I had abandoned her, left her penniless, homeless, and heartbroken. She claimed the affair partner wasn't an affair at all, but our surrogate. And those boys? Apparently, I didn't want them because they were boys. Let that sink in. She erased my husband's betrayal and painted me as some cold-hearted, baby-hating monster. And the worst part? People believed her. They showered her with sympathy, food baskets, money. But here's the thing. That church may forgive a lot. But cheating? Adultery? That's the one sin they do not tolerate. And I had all the receipts. The next morning, I went to a print shop. I handed over a USB drive filled with photos, texts, and emails. Photos of my husband kissing his mistress in our living room, texts of them planning their future together, emails where his parents admitted they knew and supported the cheating, and worst of all, messages where they bullied my daughters, calling them bastards, blaming them for their father's death. I paid extra to have everything printed in glossy, full-color pages. Then I went home and spent hours assembling binders, cute, innocent-looking binders that resembled the hymn booklets the church used. And when you opened them, BAM. First page, a crystal-clear photo of my ex and his mistress making out, captioned, "Ex-husband's name and mistress name, a love story." The next Sunday, I walked into that church like nothing was wrong. I placed the binders neatly on the back table with the hymnals, and I left. Then, I waited. Within hours, the gossip mill exploded. The Facebook group turned into a war zone. People were furious. The words they called my ex and his mistress, let's just say the pastor had to intervene to keep it PG-13. And my ex-in-laws. Suddenly, they weren't sympathetic grandparents anymore. They were the villains who enabled their son's betrayal and emotionally abused their granddaughters. The hypocrisy was exposed in broad daylight. Some members still blamed me for the divorce, but even they admitted, well, it's understandable she couldn't fulfill her duties after such a shock. I received apology letters in the mail, even an invitation to rejoin the church for support. But the best part? My ex-in-laws. They were shamed so thoroughly they couldn't show their faces there again. They left the church entirely. My ex-mother-in-law went on Facebook one last time, crying about how nobody cared for the elderly anymore, how her great son would have taken care of her, with what money I'll never know, since I was always the breadwinner. So let's recap. They tried to steal my daughters. They tried to force us to live with them. They tried to smear us in their church community. And in the end, their lies were exposed in the very place they thought they had power. They lost their reputation, their community, their control, all because I turned their own hypocrisy against them. And honestly, watching justice play out so perfectly, it was the best gift I could have given my daughters. You know, revenge doesn't always come in fire and fury. Sometimes it comes in quiet, calculated truth. And in this case, the truth was more than enough to burn everything they'd built on lies. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And of course, subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes, karma needs a little push.